Our next speaker, Jason Rink, I am honored to be introducing. In 1996, was a lot younger, 24 years ago, we had a group of friends, we all hung out, and one of those friends, Tisa, a girl, she comes home from college and she brings this guy who's a friend with her. And I met him, it was okay. He's completely different than me. I was very conservative, I'm a carnivore, I hunt, I fish. And this guy was passive, he played the guitar, he's a vegetarian. Nice guy. About a month later, I'm in New Jersey on business, I get a phone call, and it's like, hey, you remember Jason, Tisa's friend? You know, she's coming back from college, Jason wants to live in the area of Ohio we're in, and he needs a place, and I had rooms in my house. I said, sure. I get back home about 4 hours later, he's moving in. He's moved in already. I think they were calling from my house. It's one of those friendships that if it wasn't for that, I don't know would be friends. 24 years later, Jason and I he ended up marrying that girl, his wife. We have been through life together. We have laughed till we cried. We have cried till we laughed. He has done everything. He worked in this space for a little bit, but he is a consummate entrepreneur, and I am so excited. So Jason Rink is all about building your presence within today's industry, requires a multi-channel marketing approach. And companies across the industries are using video marketing to establish themselves as experts and drive potential customers towards their businesses. Our next speaker, Jason Rink, is here to share approaches and strategies for manageable, successful video marketing. Please welcome him, my friend Jason Rink.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Yes, I have known Alan for some time. Oh, this is my clicker here. Is that correct? I didn't try this. I don't know what's going to happen here when I push this. The green button? All right. Hey, look at that. There I am. Okay. So I'm Jason Rink. Alan gave me an introduction, told you a little bit about myself. Up there in the top corner, that's that girl, Tisa, that I married. We've been married 21 years. It's my son, Ethan, in the middle. He's 20 years old now. I live in Austin, Texas. I like to sing punk rock karaoke from time to time. And up in that top corner is a photo of my wedding. Alan Howe, yes. And there's me. I was 12 years old, as you can see from that picture. But and he also mentioned that I did work in this space for a little bit. Well, by that he means I was in equipment financing back in 2000 to 2005, and I was working primarily in the screen printing, embroidery, and graphics industry. You know, so lots changed since then, but I used to go to the trade shows, trying to hustle up equipment finance deals, trying to compete with the big boys. We were just a small broker, and so I did that. I was in commercial banking for 10 years, actually, and but that was sort of a left turn in my life because I went to film school originally. And so I found myself at 35 in equipment financing. I'd been doing it for 10 years. I woke up one day and I was like, 10 years is probably going to pass. I'm going to be 45 one day, and I'm miserable. So I was like, I'm going to start a video production company. So I just went ahead and made a radical career change. I was just a dude with a camera, one-man show. I made my first documentary by leveraging Costco's return policy. So they have this 90-day electronics return policy, right? And I went in and I got a Canon with a kit lens and used it for like 88 days and then returned it, got a Nikon, you know, shot the next part of my film, and then I returned that and got a Canon. I kept the third camera, so I feel like, you know, I'm clean on that. And I've been a Canon man ever since. But, you know, so since then, I've built a company. I've actually got two companies. One of them is called Simplifilm, and this would be, we do a lot of different business-to-business video. In fact, did a book trailer for Jay Baer, his book Utility, many years ago, and have done a lot of corporate video, explainer videos, product demo videos, SaaS, you know, explainer videos, that sort of thing. Also documentary storytelling for businesses. I've done some documentary films. Actually, I've done some feature-length documentary marketing films, which is a whole nother animal. But really have moved through this whole video production industry, learning a lot along the way about not just creating content and brand advertising. We've worked with, we're a post-production house for Aston Martin right now. Done work with Toyota and Mazda. Just sort of the traditional brand advertising, big budget, that's going out over broadcast, and then moving that into the digital space. And one thing that I started to see in the brand advertising space as things have started to shift to digital is that brand advertising has, many times for companies, we would maybe produce some really great looking video content, really emotional storytelling, but wasn't really generating the results online or even in brand advertising. So much of what's done in brand advertising isn't really measurable, right? It's product and market awareness. It's a lot of fuzzy ROI, where once you get in the digital space, there's so much more opportunity for targeting and measuring results. And along the way, I got involved with this company. Some people may have heard of it, called Agora Financial. Agora is in the direct response marketing space. I have a whole team of editors. I am flying to Zurich in 2 days to do a shoot for them. We do video sales letters, PowerPoints with audio. Maybe you've seen these annoying videos online before, right? It's like a PowerPoint deck with an audio and they're trying to sell you something. Webinars, digital courses. Some of it really ugly video, and some of it to my mind, kind of boring, right? Like, who wants to watch a 90-minute webinar about financial products? Well, you'd be surprised that when you figure out the kind of audience you're really going for, that's exactly what they want to watch. And so I began to learn that, in this particular niche of 55 to 65-year-old white male Trump supporters, frankly, is what that target demographic is. They're interested in buying financial products on how to make money outside of Wall Street, options trading, cryptocurrency, all these different things. And so I've been able to be inside what is one of the most profitable, biggest direct response marketing companies in the world. And what we've done is we've generated massive revenue in what I call video launches. And so along the way, I also had a chance to work with a company called Harmon Brothers. Does anybody know who those guys are? Ever heard of the Squatty Potty? You know, the unicorn that poops ice cream, rainbow ice cream, right? Okay. So they were sort of on the forefront of bringing together brand advertising and direct response marketing in a way where you can produce content and use the hyper-targeting and all of the different technologies that we're going to talk a little bit about here to reach that exact audience with the exact message, with the exact offer, and allows people to then buy directly. It's just a really seamless funnel. And so what I started to do is trying to figure out how could I take what I know through brand advertising and what I know in direct response marketing, and can I bring that together and help serve entrepreneurs and small businesses with it? Because I think entrepreneurs are heroes. Like, I think that people who have a product or service that changes people's lives or improves people's lives are doing great work. And I see the market and all of these different things that happen to try to reach somebody who wants to improve their life and to intersect them with a marketing message that leads them to buy something that improves their life. That's a service. I'm one of these weird people that I like that ads follow me around the internet. You guys experiencing that right now? How ads follow you around the internet? And it's a little bit creepy. I like it because I'm looking for the least amount of friction between me and a product or service that I need. If ads could be served up perfectly to things that I'm thinking about, that I want to buy or need, and I don't have to do anything. They're just right there, and I can just click, and it gets drop shipped to my house or whatever. Like, that's amazing. I love that. And I actually think a lot of people love that. And so what I want to talk to you about today, and I thought I was going to get the extra 30 minutes and do a 90-minute presentation, but I guess not, is how to get your customers' attention. And I'm sort of, I don't know if Alan, he didn't mention this, but for a few years, I was actually a pastor. Me and Alan were involved in planting a church back in, when was that, 2003? So I was always this kind of very philosophical guy, right? And so when it comes to this whole idea of marketing and sales and media, I really like to think about the philosophy. And I want to go there for a minute on this idea of attention, because sometimes I think we can get really caught up in the shiny objects or the tools or the tactics of sales and marketing and advertising. And at the end of the day, when we really think about what's happened over the course of human history, people have been gathering together in audiences to be entertained or informed, and people have been trying to get in front of those audiences to sell them something. So before radio and TV and print, step right up, it's gathering people together, and then radio and TV and print comes along, and all of the programming and content that's being created is entertaining, but why? Or it's informative, but why? It's to build an audience. Like the storytelling, Breaking Bad, that the greatest television show ever created in history, possibly, my opinion. Objectively true, though. But the reason is to build this massive audience to what? Sell people products, right? And services. And so what happened for a long time is that ability to gather an audience was just, it wasn't, you just never knew if you exactly had the right person watching that ad. Brands buy big Super Bowl ads, and they're like, yeah, 100 million people watch that or whatever. We know some of our people are going to be in that audience. But it's very inefficient if you think about it. And so what's happened over the last 10 years, really, and I really want us to think about this for a minute. The first iPhone was released in 2007. YouTube, 2005 is when it started. These technologies aren't even old enough to drink or drive, if you think about it. They haven't been around very long, and yet it's radically shifted everything. The smartphone has changed everything, and I don't even think we realize the ramifications of this yet. And so what's happened in just a short period of time is people's attention has shifted. This is where people's attention is it's on the televisions they carry around in their pockets. Who in here does not have a smartphone on them right now? Yeah, right, okay, see? Yeah, and so I don't want to spend a ton of time on boring you with a bunch of stats. But what I would have you know is that the stats that I've got here just hammers home where people's attention are. Right now, 45% of the world's population use social media. It's an amazing thought. By 2025, 3/4 of the world will use just their smartphone to access the internet. 51% of time online is on mobile. And again, that's just happened in the last 10 years. The average adult spends 2 hours and 55 minutes per day on their smartphone, and of that time, 2 hours and 23 minutes is on social media. There's this other stat out there that's the average person touches their phone 1,600 times a day, and it sounds so ridiculous, I can't believe it's possibly true, but it's they're on us, we're fidgeting with them, we're looking at stuff on them. And then when you start to get into things, so the device, right, is what's changed. We don't have to go home, we don't have to be in our car, we can be anywhere, and the device that's delivering the content to us is with us. And then here are the channels, okay? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. All of these people are there, and they're watching videos. Videos is slowly, well, it's quickly overtaking everything on the smart device, what people are consuming. And so 6 out of 10 people would rather watch online video than television. By 2022, online video will make up more than 82% of all consumer internet traffic. I mean, that's just crazy. So like in the now 5G's coming out, which is like, again, it's this whole game of the technology, the delivery systems, right? The proliferation of all of this. Again, you go through these stats and you find out that people are watching videos all day long. Video is generating way more engagement, way more shareability, and that people are more and more looking to video to inform them as they're making buying decisions. And they're doing it on their time, when it's convenient for them. A lot of times they're doing it while they're sitting on the toilet. Like, and in a lot of ways, you really got to think about, like, how can I get my product or service in front of somebody while they're going number 2? So think about that. So does anybody think that this trend will decrease, that people are going to become less addicted to consuming content on their smart devices? Okay. I think it's the minority opinion. I do think there are some things, we could see some radical changes in the device. I think that it won't always be in our hand. I don't know what it might look like in the way that we engage with it, but it's not even important really what our opinion is about it. Like, we could think that the smartphone and people's addiction to smartphones is like going to lead to the collapse of Western civilization or whatever. It's, leading to people not spending time with their families or kids. There could be all these arguments we could have about maybe this isn't healthy or whatever. Great. The question is whether or not people are going to continue to behave this way. And I think the answer is yes, clearly. And so the question for the room is, what are you going to do about it? And I would have you know that my desire is to serve this room today. I just want everybody to walk out of here with something that will lead to a shift or an action that you can take that can help you grow your business, that can help you achieve what you want to achieve with your business. And so before I came here, I got a list of most of the attendees. It was several weeks ago. And I went through and I looked at every website and every Facebook page. I had my assistant go through and harvest all this data for me, right? Because I just wanted to see who in here was using, like, different types of content. Who here was using social media in different ways? Who in here, which companies were one-man shop? Which ones were bigger companies? Like, and there's a lot of different people that are represented in this room. How many people in here are business owners? Okay. How many people in here have a business that's under 10 people, under 10 employees? Okay, cool. So I'm just trying to get a little bit of the mix. So one thing I did notice, though, is that there was a lot of things I saw that I think people in this room could just upgrade to take advantage of this technology in the different platforms that they have. So I used some of that discovery to sort of inform what I was going to talk about here. And by the way, I don't have a timer in front of me. You guys are giving me like a 10-minute warning or something? Is that right? Okay. So is there anybody in this room who's had the thought, I know I need to be using digital marketing more or video more? Has anyone thought that? Yeah, I talk to businesses a lot about this, and it is a real challenge. It's a real challenge for small business owners and, frankly, large businesses to navigate this changing landscape in digital marketing and to know, like, where do I start? How do I even do this? And by the way, I have a business to run. I got customer orders to get out. Like, I can't become a digital marketing expert. And I don't even know if anybody on my team can. Like, does anybody have a sense of a struggle around this whole thing of digital marketing? So I want to talk about two problems that I see in a lot of businesses, and I want to address them. The first one is clarity. So I think there's a lot of fog of how do I engage with social media and digital marketing in a way that's effective. And a lot of companies that I talk to, their digital marketing strategy is a two-pronged strategy that I like to call, number one, random acts of content, and number two, hope marketing. And it's just like, I know I need to do something, so I'm just going to do some stuff, and then I'm going to hope that that stuff generates some result. They don't have any real way of tracking or measuring. They don't have any real reason to create the content that they're creating. And then, who in here is familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V? So Gary V is pretty incredible. I think he's got a lot of great things to say. But I watched a couple of videos of his that were just put out in the last couple of months. And increasingly, here's how what the videos were. He gives talks. I think he gets like $250,000 for a talk. And he basically gives a 7-minute talk and then does Q&A, right? So his talk's the same. But what he said is, on the one video, he was like, every business owner needs to put out 40 pieces of content a day. And then the next one is like a month later, every business owner needs to put out 80 pieces of content a day. And then the last one I saw, 100 pieces of content a day. That's his recommendation. That's Gary V's recommendation of what business owners need to do. He's talking to like mortgage brokers in this one. And I'm like, I don't think that's helping. I don't think that advice is helping business owners get any less overwhelmed or any more clarity around what they got to do. It's like, I'm not even creating one piece of content a day. How am I going to? So clarity is really key. And I think there's some areas that you could all just spend some time getting clarity. And this is not the shiny, sexy stuff, right? So if you spend any time in digital marketing or researching it for your business in any way, you're only one funnel away from $1 million, or if you could build a YouTube channel, here it is, you're going to get your 100,000 followers, this is the key. Nobody wants to spend the time thinking deeply about what I call the 80% underneath the surface of the iceberg. And it's audience, messaging, and offer. So getting really clear about who you serve and how you serve them. I think one thing that's really critical when it comes to digital marketing is you've got to talk specifically to people. You have to narrow your message down to a particular individual for it to cut through the noise of the 20,000 advertising messages that are coming at them a day, or whatever the stat is. And so what I would encourage most of you in here to do, number one, if you're a business owner, I want to encourage you to think about building a business where you serve clients you like. I want you to think about the fact that if you are going to build this business and you're going to do it for the next 10, 20, 30 years, wouldn't it be awesome to serve people that you enjoy serving? And I don't know about you, but I've taken business in the past that it was business I didn't like and worked with people I didn't like. It was always really painful. And I think we can get in that rut. I think when we're young in business, you kind of got to do that sometimes. But I think when you're going through this idea of audience, think to yourself, who are you serving right now? Think about your best customers. Think about the customers that make up 80% of your sales. Think about how you're serving them, the products and services you're providing to them, and start to build a customer avatar around it. Start to think about the demographics and psychographics around it. So age, geography. Some of you guys are doing business local only. Some of you guys are doing it all over the world. There's all of these different things. Think about the TV shows they watch. Think about all of this type of stuff. Really understand who that individual is, because as the stuff that you can figure out about them, that is all targetable online. You can target people who like The Walking Dead because they engage with Walking Dead content, right? You can engage with people who like the kind of music, a certain kind of music. If you're doing apparel in the music industry and then in the sports industry, whatever, it's like audience is important. And you've really got to think about it and get clear about it. And you've got to also think about what is a problem that you could uniquely solve for them. And I have a question for the room. Why do people buy apparel? Does anybody have an answer to that? Like, why do they buy it? That's actually, he over here said they don't want to be naked. Like, if we just get down to the rudimentary of it, like, it's at the bottom of, like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, not being naked. And so, number one, it's actually tied into our survival mechanism, clothing ourselves. And this is, I'm going to stray into philosophy for a minute again. Like, every human being walking around on planet Earth has actually two things going on in their mind. It's almost like two minds. There's sort of the reptilian lizard brain mind that's going on that's trying to keep you alive. Not just physically, but socially. Because back a long time ago, if you were cast out of the tribe, you died. That's still in us. And so you need to recognize that there's a whole dimension going on in somebody that I don't want to die. I also don't want to look bad. I don't want to look unsuccessful. I don't want to be laughed at. I want to look cool, whatever it is. All of that stuff's going on over here. And then there's another part of a person, all of us, every human being, that is trying to reach their highest potential in life in some way. They're trying to improve their life. And so when we create marketing messages and when we think about what we're trying to do with any product or service, you've got to connect with the lizard brain of somebody to help them understand that you're safe, you're not going to hurt them, you're not going to take advantage of them, and you have something that's going to help them realize their higher potential. Does that make sense? I know it's sort of like a tangent, but I think it's important. So to not be naked, why else do people buy apparel? It's your identity. There's something about it that they're wanting to communicate to the world. It might have to do with trying to build their brand, maybe, right? So it has something to do with business, and why do they want to build their brand? Well, they want to build revenue, and why do they want to... And like, if you just keep asking why enough times, most of these decisions around why people are buying a product or service has to do with increasing their wealth. It has to do, it's like health, wealth, relationships. It's very, very simple. And it's really, really good to dig down deep under the surface about an apparel purchase, to really think about what it is that they're trying to satisfy over there. And what they're trying to satisfy is actually what they're trying to do, right? So the apparel, it's just like the old adage, when people buy a drill, they don't want a drill, they want a hole. It's like when they're buying the apparel, it's got a certain purpose that it's driving for them in their business that you're coming in to help them serve to achieve. So I think getting and digging into that, it sounds kind of boring, but it really pays a lot of dividends once you start deploying advertising in the marketplace. Messaging, getting clear about the problem you solve and the niche that you solve it in. So thinking about how you actually solve a problem and who you're solving it for and digging deeper into that is really critical, because that once you get clear on it, writing ad copy, like figuring out the kind of content you want to create, becomes a lot easier because it's coming from this well of a deep knowledge. And then content, there's a lot of different kinds of content you can create. And getting clear about content that you should create as a business. If you're a larger business, it might make sense for you to do more high production value storytelling, more brand storytelling out there, right? If you're a smaller business, the question is, how can you generate and create content with the tools at hand and in a way that really you can commit to? So does that mean that you're not going to be on camera, or you will? What are the pros and cons of that? Are you going to do it audio content that you can also repurpose into video? One of the reasons I like video a lot is because you can repurpose it 3 times. When you create a piece of video content, you repurpose that into an audio piece of content, which audio is the other thing that's growing, especially for successful business owners, people who might be in a lot of people's target market, listen to a lot of stuff. And then you can also generate text out of it. And text still has a lot of rich SEO value online. So getting clarity in these areas. And then number 2 problem. So the first is clarity. Second is overwhelm. There's like software overwhelm. There's all of these different things that you've got to buy and hook together and learn and master coming at you. You know, it's like if you're not doing chat, well, what are you even doing in life? You know, if you You got to have that email sequence, and so there's a lot of overwhelm there, platform overwhelm. Like, okay, so do I need to be on TikTok? Do I need to be on Instagram? And getting some clarity around which channel will best serve what you're trying to accomplish, because you don't need to be on all of them. Some people need to be on certain ones, other people shouldn't be. And if you're doing business, local business, there are certain channels that are way better for that. And if you're doing sort of like selling a certain kind of product, Instagram can be really good for that, So, but this overwhelm, I've seen people get really paralyzed around this. They don't know where to start, so they don't start. And then like equipment overwhelm. A lot of creatives in this room probably, and I know that I run a video production company, so for me, it's really hard for me to create content that doesn't rise to a certain level, because it sort of represents what I can create for people. But I think a lot of people might get in their own way around thinking they've got to create things that are much higher production value, get a bunch of gear, hire a bunch of people, and that may be what you need to do, but many, many times, creating things using that studio in your pocket, the smartphone, which is incredibly powerful, is all you need, and a few other items. Most people in this room need less than $500 worth of gear to create all of the content that they need to create. Okay, so you guys tracking with me? Is this good? Oh, you don't have to tell me if it's good right now. You can fill out a comment card at the end and tell them if it's any good. So awareness, affinity, and authority. I want to talk about this for a minute. This is really what all content is about. And if you think about what you're trying to generate for somebody, and if you think about how online is different than a referral or a warm lead, when somebody refers somebody to you, a lot of this work's already done. They already see you as an authority because their friend said you were good. They have an affinity because their friend likes you. They have awareness. They know they need some product, and now they're aware that you can give it to them. It's all done. But online, this is really what you've got to think about. And you've got to think about this. Let this guide you in any content you make. And so what you want to think about, if you're going to make anything, you're going to produce anything, advertising, or if you're going to produce, so there's content to make people aware of what you do, what they need. There's things that help them to connect with you and your brand and generate an affinity around it. And then there's things that help them see you as an authority, that you're going to do it competently. Because these things need to come together in order for this to happen. So what I've tried to create is just a little bit of a container that I think can help guide some things I want to talk about now. And this is sort of the practical things. I want to give you guys some takeaways. I know the title was 5 things, but I gave him that title like months ago before I even wrote this whole presentation. So now it's 7. Okay, so the Facebook Pixel. Who does not know what the Facebook Pixel is? Who does know what the Facebook Pixel is? Okay. A lot of times people don't like to admit when they don't know something, so it's fine. So I was on a lot of your websites. It was like 60% of the websites in here didn't have the Facebook Pixel on it. So I've got a little tool, tells me if Facebook Pixel's on a website. Who in here has run a Facebook ad? Who in here has gotten what they would consider a good result from that experience? Okay. So what I want to do is I want to expand your thinking around this thing called Facebook. So think about Facebook as a company in Silicon Valley that's massively profitable, that's huge, and what they are doing is developing the most advanced artificial intelligence, machine learning platform that can be deployed towards customer acquisition that's ever been created in the history of man. Like, they've created something, and the other tech companies have done it and are doing it too. Google's got it too, but it's like they've created something that knows more about the hopes, dreams, and behaviors of the people who use it than the people themselves do. And again, if that's like scary or whatever, it's like, well, that's just the way it is. And so they have this highly advanced thing, and then what they're tasked to do is create a way for us to interface with that technology in a way that we can generate a result. Like, it's really complicated if you think about it. So they're trying their best to make it so that any one of us can go in there and be like, here's an ad, or here's a piece of content, right? And it's a challenge. And so the Facebook Pixel is this code that tracks people around the internet. And so, for example, everyone in this room, I believe, should have the Facebook Pixel installed on any piece of digital real estate that you have. So if it's your website or a landing page or a destination that you're trying to actively get people to go to, the Pixel should be on there. Because what that will do is it will essentially gather info about that person's behavior even if they take no action, number one. So you might know that you get 100 clicks on your website a day. Great. How many of those people did anything? Not that many. What the Facebook Pixel does is it knows that they were on your website. And so you can create content that will start showing up in their feed on Facebook and outside of Facebook, by the way, all over the internet about your company and your product. And depending on what you're trying to do, that can be really useful. Because if somebody goes to a product page of yours because they're interested in a certain type of product you sell, you can now have stuff start showing up in front of them that will remind them that they were interested in that product, or even give them a discount, or even do something that's like, hey, you were just on my website yesterday. Why didn't you buy something? Now, that would be kind of creepy. But like, it's really, really vast. And so this is one of the easiest things you can do. Whoever's doing anything for your web can do this and make it happen. And you don't even have to be ready to run any ads right now for it to make sense, because it will start to gather customer behavior for the next year. You don't have to run any ads, and it's going to start building an audience. I want you to remember, one of the big shifts that's happened with digital is in the television days, we had to borrow other people's audiences. ABC builds an audience, and you could show an ad on it. Or the newspaper builds an audience, a subscriber base, and you can put an ad in it. You now have the ability to not only leverage other people's audiences that are out there, but you can build your own. You can build your own audience and start serving content to it. It's revolutionary. It's mind-blowing. And then what you can begin to do as well is, once you gather enough data, you can take email lists and build what are called lookalike audiences in Facebook, which is people who are a lot like those people that already are buying your products. And don't let any digital marketing guru out there make you believe that they are better than the Facebook algorithm. They're not. Like, it's getting so good that it's not the secret mojo and sauce. You got to do a lot of things right, but it's getting really, really good at what it does. So the Facebook Pixel, get it installed. It's going to start gathering info and helping you build an audience and market to them. Okay? One of the reasons this will be useful in video is, and one of the most effective things you can do to start building audience and content online is video view campaigns on Facebook. So I'm a video guy, so I'm talking my book a little bit, as they say. But video view campaigns, or creating video views, right, on your business Facebook page, you put it out there. It's a piece of content. It's 2 minutes long. Some sort of informative piece of content somebody might want to watch. As that shows up in people's feed, it starts to tell you what percentage of that video people have watched. And so you can know that 100 people watched over 50% of that video. What you know is that if somebody watches over 50% of a video that you made about apparel, like, they're probably interested in what's going on there. And you can target all these different, so you start building an audience of people who viewed, 10 seconds or more, 75% or more. There's all this data around it. So video views are very, very cheap. You get them for pennies. And it's not necessarily about the views. It's about building the audience of people who'd watched a little bit of that content, because you can begin to serve more and more content up to them. The Facebook pixel is very, very useful, and Facebook itself has a lot you can start doing on it that isn't necessarily ads as much as it is starting to do some inexpensive monetized content. Optimize your digital real estate. Won't spend much time on this, but what you really want to think about is that people move through the digital universe like it's another geography. Okay, so we sort of have this other, we are virtually moving through digital real estate in digital neighborhoods. People hang out in digital neighborhoods. They're hanging out in these different channels around certain content, around certain things. And so when they come across your real estate in the digital universe, you want it to communicate whatever it is you want it to communicate about your brand. You want it to communicate whatever you want around professionalism, around awareness, affinity, and authority. So I've seen a lot of people who, they've got all this digital real estate out there, and it's not very good. It's not very effective. It's not serving you. If I would see it, I would probably not, it wouldn't communicate authority. It wouldn't communicate affinity necessarily. I wouldn't know what you wanted me to do once I got there. So find ways to optimize your digital real estate. This is making sure that the images across the top, the language that's on it. This is websites and social media platforms. Being very intentional about that and understanding what you want people to do once they get there. Okay, so this is actually a piece of video content. So this is DIY, like iPhone content, but I want to encourage you guys, I see some people doing this already for sure, but documenting the behind-the-curtain stuff in your business. You do it every day, you might not find it that interesting, but finding ways to create short videos about the process, about how you do things, about why you do things, about what you do in your business, that content can be very, very relevant and interesting. When people are looking to buy a product or service, many times people start binging content in that whole universe. They try to start watching and consuming things that they see about your company. And again, behind-the-scenes video content I think is really, really useful. Low production value iPhone video content converts really well. People don't see it as ad content. And so I just want you to think about in your business, can you shoot this behind-the-scenes video stuff of garments being made, machines running, talking about a certain aspect of what you guys do, how you serve clients. That stuff's really useful. I think you should create more of it. Shoot a customer commercial. Okay, this is like a little ninja hack I like. So who in here works with local businesses? Are your clients? Okay. So Red Horn Coffee is a coffee shop I like to go to a lot. And they've got like apparel, they've got shirts and hats and, growlers and whatever. And so thinking about this idea of building audience, when you go out there and you push a piece of content out there about how awesome you are, how does that occur? Like, people are sort of like, yeah, of course you think you're awesome. And so, but if other people talk about how awesome you are, it's really, really powerful, right? And if somebody created a piece of content about how awesome your business was, what would you do? You would share it. Hey, look what somebody said about my business, right? So I learned this in the real estate industry. Some realtors we were working with started making videos about the top 3 taco joints in their market. And so they went to these restaurants, and it's like the videos are not about real estate at all. It's a realtor who's hosting it. He's like, hey, here's the best 3 taco joints in Cedar Park. Let's go to them. Dun, dun, dun. And they're with their iPhone, they're shooting like the sign going in, B-roll. Like it's shot like it's engaging, it's interesting. They push it out on their real estate business platform. They tag the businesses they featured as the top 3, and these things get massive shares and views. And the thing is, it's being shared off of their Facebook page. That means that Facebook is getting the data off of everybody who engages with that content, likes it, shares it, watches it, everything. And so that realtor can start serving helpful content up into the feeds of all those people who engaged in the 3 best taco shops, right? So I would encourage you maybe to think about local companies that this is, again, I know this is a little bit like, wait, this is a step removed from promoting your own business. Companies that you've actually done apparel for, right? And like go into Red Horn and actually like kind of shoot a little commercial about why Red Horn Coffee is the best coffee shop in the place. And it's like, of course, there's going to be some shots of the apparel in there, right? But it's not about you, it's about them. And they're a great company. You want them to succeed, right? You're doing apparel for them. And so it ends up being like you're doing commercials for your customers, these just shareable iPhone commercials. Put somebody from your company in it to host it or not, but it will help you to, again, gather data. It's about getting the data, and then it's about people thinking you're awesome because you did something awesome for them. It's reciprocity. And so that's going to take it or leave it if it works for you. I understand this might not make any sense for some of the businesses in here, but for local businesses, I think it can be effective. Produce FAQ videos. You guys probably have done this, some of you, but you want to make sure that you can take all the knowledge that's in you, that you can get out there that's relevant to a customer primarily, right? So I just recently bought some apparel for one of my companies, actually 2 different times. And my assistant handled it all, but I knew we needed apparel. And so we ended up getting these beanies, I guess, like hats embroidered, and it was fleece lined on the inside versus one that wasn't fleece lined. I didn't know anything about the difference on that, but like it would be interesting for a company to have a little video that was like, here's the difference between like a fleece lined or not fleece lined hat, right? That type of content can be useful, right? Again, thinking about this from the standpoint that if you position yourself to be able to track people's behavior around the internet, serve up useful, helpful content in their feed, it will just start showing up, and you're showing up videos that are interesting, and they're about your brand, right? So the other thing to keep in mind about these FAQ videos is when you push these out onto YouTube, it can help you with local search, right? So if you tag this content appropriately, especially if you're doing local on YouTube, Google will push YouTube results onto the first page of Google a lot. It's very, very common. I've done this for companies before where we've produced some videos, and the next day, their video is showing up on search for what they're trying to show up for locally on the first page of Google. And in a sea of a bunch of text, some videos out there are really great. And so FAQ videos help establish authority. You know what you're talking about. Even if people aren't necessarily watching the whole video. Again, it's getting your brand out there. Launch a video podcast. Okay. So this is basically launch a podcast, but just like film it. And one suggestion I would give you, potentially, I don't think everybody in here necessarily needs to go start a podcast, but maybe you could. And it might not be a bad idea. And by the way, you might want to think about how you could bring guests on. For example, you could bring a guy on to talk about how small businesses can grow their business through digital marketing. Okay, so you're an apparel company. You're creating apparel that's helping the marketing and business trajectory of another business, and you would start bringing on guests of a podcast that the information on there wasn't about screen printing, it's about how to help them grow their business. And you're interviewing people doing that. That's just one idea. There's different ways to do it. The reason you want to create it video is because you can put that onto YouTube, and you can also release it as a podcast. I don't think a lot of people need to create 100 episodes. I would ask you to figure out if you could make 12 episodes of a podcast that could be evergreen, that would be bingeable. That people, again, going back, who's your audience, probably you solve for them, coming up with content that they would find relevant, okay? You got to do all that first. And then you start seeing how, oh, you could create some bingeable content. 15, 20-minute podcasts are fine that sort of go in order or talk about a lot of different aspects of things. You know, you could create content out there about what people should think about before they contract with a company. Like think about all of the problems that people have when they buy apparel from a company, all the things your competitors do that's terrible, or all the problems, and create a video or a series about the things that people need to think about before they work with a company, right? So anyway, another thing, this is pretty easy. Everything I'm trying to give you, I think you can do with an iPhone, and you can do it pretty simply. Create local search video. Again, I sort of touched on this already. It's just a video that is going to be keyword rich with there's a company, screen printing and embroidery company in Warren, Ohio, I stumbled across. Who is that? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, it's fine. No, I just remembered, I came across a video online on YouTube, and I think it was decently SEO'd, or at least it popped up in a search, right? And yeah, and I remember that. And so, you know, just making sure that you put some intention around how you're describing, titling, tagging those videos. I'm going to give you a couple of tools. There's a tool called vidIQ that you can use. It's like a subscription tool. It'll like plug in on you get it, and it will help you to keyword all your videos, do competitor research. Like, it will tell you all the things you can do to optimize your video content on YouTube. So vidIQ, it's pretty inexpensive to buy it. And it's one of those things you could do it for a month, go optimize all your video content, and it would teach you some things about how to do that. So one other thing that's not on here, I talked to somebody about this yesterday, is consider doing video, email video, or even messaging videos in Messenger to customers as sort of your customer success plan or like follow-up. So there's two services. BombBomb is one. The other one's called Bonjuro. You guys know the guy, the author, Michael Michalowicz, Profit First and Clockwork. Is anyone familiar with him? So let me tell you how this guy blew my mind. I bought his book, Clockwork. I signed up for the free resources, like in the book, right? He's like, hey, go here and get the extra resources. And I always do that. I don't care. I'm on so many email lists. So I go in, I sign up for that, and he's got another upsell after that for like $79 or something. And I don't remember if I bought the upsell or not at that point. All I know is within one day, I got a video email from him, personalized to me. He's like, hey, Jason, just want to let you know I'm getting ready to go do a keynote. Man, I saw you signed up for the free resources. That's awesome. I hope your business kills it this year. Let me know if I can ever be of service to you. Took him like 21 seconds, right? Now, multiply that by 1,000 people who go do that, and it's going to take some time. But it's super powerful, like, and it doesn't scale. And so in the conversation about all this stuff that you can build and do online to scale your business digitally, to clone yourself and, you know, follow people around the internet, that's all great. I do want to take a moment to say there's certain things you could do that aren't scalable, but they're so high, they're high touch and powerful, and it's affinity building, and no one else is doing it. I have never gotten another video like that from anyone, and I'm sitting here telling you guys all about this guy right now. Really powerful. So that's all I would have to say there. I think I'm almost done. Yes, here's one last thing. This is not exhaustive, but a brand video is sort of like your video business card, you know? It's like the general About Us video maybe, something like that. Product or explainer video, you guys have probably seen something like that. Documentary video. I did a 90-minute feature-length documentary for a real estate marketing company. Like, they spent a lot of money on it, and that video has tripled, that moved them from like $50,000 to $150,000 in revenue per month. All of their clients watch it before they come on board with them. A freaking hour-and-a-half documentary about real estate marketing. Why? Because their freaking target market, it's so good. Like the content, and it's built to sell them on a service. But you can do short documentary video, lots of ways. One thing I want to touch on here, I know I'm running out of time, but I was just at Sundance a couple weeks ago, and I was with a guy who did a short documentary film on a tattoo company in Ohio, Circleville, I think. So there's this guy doing tattoos out in Circleville, Ohio, and what he's doing is he's doing free tattoo cover-up for people who have white supremacist, like, ink on them, like swastikas, stuff like that. He's like, look, I know people have a lot of regrets around this type of stuff, so if they contact me, we're cover it up for free. And he's like, this is my thing. Documentary was made about him by somebody else, right? And he's doing, it's really a compelling story. Well, the guy didn't do it to try to blow his business up, but it's blown his business up. I mean, yeah, he's giving away free tattoos, but guess what? Like, that's not the last tattoo these guys are getting, right? These guys, it's just a powerful way of making a difference and telling a story. And the reason I share it is because, like, what are you guys up to? What are you doing to make an impact, make a difference? Are you working with any clients that are doing something really interesting and impactful in the world? And are you working with them? And is there a way to tell that story? Documentary storytelling can really be done that way when it's authentic. It's not all about how you guys are awesome, again. It's about telling the story about what they're doing and how you're partnering with them. It's really, really great. Testimonial video, you know what that is. Indoctrination videos, that's what I call videos that go in an email sequence to move people through a sales process, okay? These are all just different terms, and they go into different buckets. I don't think I need to spend any more time there. So what I want to wrap up with is I hope this would bring value. I hope there's a takeaway here, guys. But I'm giving you the opportunity to make sure that you get value from this. I left a card. This is like a free thing, okay? Like, I know your time's valuable. And my desire would be to create value in the room. And I recognize that I might fall short in that. So I've got a course, digital series, and a workbook that you can move through, that moves you through a lot of the audience stuff we talked about, messaging. It's got things in there about how to write scripts. It's got things in there about gear. And I'm going to give this to you. You can use it. Somebody at your company might want to go through it. Will help you to start creating video content that can be effective in your business. So this is just my way of, yes, getting your contact information, and I want to give this away to you guys and create some value because I value your time. So is that useful to you guys? Okay. And I'll leave you guys with just saying, I want you to know that I'm a guy up here that if anybody in this room would like to have a conversation with me about what they're doing in their business digitally, you want me to check out what you're up to, get some feedback, I will create 30 to 45-minute call with any business owner in this room about it, whether or not you're going to do business with me in Austin, Texas. We do business with people all over the country, all size companies, but I want to serve you guys. So reach out to me, give me your contact information, hand that in to me if you can today. If not, Alan Howe will be the other guy. Once I leave, get it to him. But I would encourage you to do that. Thank you so much, guys, today. I appreciate it.